All right. I'd like to welcome you to DES-244, Package Design. I'm your instructor, Bill Sweeney. We are going to be working this week on the mood board, the first section of our packaging assignment. One of the things that we're going to do is discuss 3 ways a package attracts attention and why. Packaging should communicate positioning, identity, and values. Package design essentials apply to both service and physical product companies and must do all the following: reflect the business positioning, communicate graphic identity, and reflect target buyer values. Think about these things when you answer your discussion question. And we also will be discussing through this course the lifestyle of package design from initial concepts to final mock-up, the concept of ideation, concept of initiation. Ideation means where you are basically putting together ideas, thinking through the process of your product. Concept initiation. What steps is it going to take, and what form and shape will this concept ultimately end up being? Feasibility, will it work? Is it going to do what you want it to do? What is it going to take to make sure that you gain everything that you want from it? Product development, not only the graphics, but also the product itself, putting the whole thing together, making it possible for somebody to produce this item. Product validation. Is this a valid product? Are we going to go to all this trouble for something that's not going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth it? What do we got to do to make it worth it? Manufacturing validation. Is it something that can be done? Is it valid to do from a manufacturing standpoint? Are we going to be able to do it and make it profitable? Start of production. When you actually start putting together the entire process of producing this thing, getting people up to speed and making it possible for this to happen. Market launch. All the marketing involved, all the advertisement, all the placement and processes involved in getting this thing to market. And then, of course, end of life. When do we project that this product will ultimately become obsolete and have to be replaced with something else? So these are some of the different life cycle packaging concerns that we have to think about when you work in packaging. We're going to identify and apply an appropriate color scheme for a product. When you are producing a product like this, you are working within the confines of a company. There's normally branding and standards that go into a company, and you have to have respect for them. But at the same time, a product is an individual entity. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to identify and apply an appropriate color scheme to the manufacturer of your product, for your product, so that it ultimately tells the tale it needs to tell to be a viable product that somebody will ultimately buy from you. Some questions to ask yourself: what color represents your brand personality? So that goes back to your branding, and the branding is a very important part of it, and you can't overlook the branding. The branding has to be a part of the overall process. What color suits the characteristic of your product and service? So now we move into the actual product or service itself, and what colors will work for that particular product or service, at the same time help to keep within the confines of the brand personality. These are kind of advanced questions that you get involved in when you are working on this sort of work. What color does your competitors use? Essentially, you have to take a look at your competitors from every standpoint. There are people out there, unless your product is a complete one-of-a-kind, which is rare, there will be other people out there competing for a percentage of the market. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to maximize your percentage. So one of the things that you do, aside from thinking about your own color, is to think about what people are doing and what kind of colors and what kind of graphics and what kind of type and what kind of forms they're working with when they create their packaging, so that you can kind of structure yours to be, if possible, better than what they are offering. Explore the identity of a typeface and what represents a product. One of the big things about any kind of a product, any kind of a piece of design work, is type. Type is an incredibly important part of the entire process. Your first concern for choosing a font for a projected project should be that it matches the message or purpose of your design. Very important to think about type. You don't just think about it lightly. Think about it in the context of two things. Number one, the brand effort. What is being recommended by your brand manual, because there will be a brand manual. We don't have one in this particular project, but there will be a brand manual, and there will be certain requirements expected from you within the brand manual, and you will want to keep some of that. You will want to utilize some of that. But at the same time, you're still working with a particular product. The product needs its own unique visual representation. So it's up to you as the designer or part of the design team to work with others to come up with a design approach that will be correct for the product. What would be a good idea to brainstorm some of the qualities or characteristics that you want your design to communicate? Obviously, when you're working with these elements, color, graphics, design, texture, all of these different elements communicate. And what you're doing is you're utilizing these as a designer, as the part of the process as a designer. You are utilizing these techniques to communicate what you want to communicate with your product. It's important because every typeface has its own mood or personality. All you have to do is go in and take a look at some, maybe for an example, just create a document and set 2 or 3 words and maybe duplicate it many times on your page and apply different fonts to those words, the same words, you know, hello, goodbye, whatever, and then apply text to it and take a look at the text and see how different the fonts are. They're communicating differently because that's what fonts do, and that's the point of it. If we didn't need them to communicate differently, there would only be 1 or perhaps 2 fonts. Well, actually, there would only be 1 font if we didn't need them to communicate. The whole point is that they communicate. So when you're creating design, as a designer, packaging or otherwise, it's very important for you to make sure that you're communicating, and part of the process is to make sure that your fonts are communicating the way they need to communicate. So when you work on, this week we're going to be working on mood boards. So all these things that we're talking about right here and right now are part of the considerations that you're going to consider and you're going to look at, think about, and apply to your production of your mood board, okay? Ask yourself, does the font support the qualities of my brand or complement the purpose of my design? See, again, very important for you to understand. It isn't only the purpose of the design, it's also the support of the brand. So there's a combination of effort going on here. You're trying to stay within the boundaries that are established by your brand, and that usually takes place in a branding manual, which you'll be supplied. And the branding manual will have instructions that you can basically follow, and it'll suggest things like branding colors, logo colors, branding colors, branding type, use of textures, use of gradients, use of style of graphics, type of pictures that are to be used and not to be used. And it's very important that you follow this to a degree, but at the same time, you have to also complement the purpose of the design. So you are at that point allowed a little flexibility because you are now thinking about a particular entity, a product, and that product needs to have a particular look. So it's up to you as a designer to balance the two. Identify and apply 3 solutions to create a viable package layout. Today's packaging enables the product to safely get to market, prolong the life of the product, communicate the product's attributes, and serve for many products as a tangible brand ambassador. So essentially what we're doing here is we're talking about the different meanings or the different usage of your packaging, all right? So it's kind of important for you to consider these things. And if I'm not mistaken, oh, I got one more. Yep, I got one more. Discuss the importance of typography and color in packaging and explain how each helps in building a brand identity. Again, I kind of talked about that briefly before, but it is incredibly important that as a graphic designer who is working as part of a design team, this is another thing for you to understand. You're not working in a vacuum. You're working as part of a team, and you happen to be the design part of that team. You'll be working with others, and you'll expect others to give you input to help you. This isn't something that you should be doing by yourself. Others know certain things, and what they can do to help you is to supply you with direction. And I don't mean, you know, take it out of your hands and do it for you. It's your job to do it as the designer. But these people are called stakeholders, and they have certain knowledge and certain needs, and if they can express their needs and their knowledge properly, and if they can give you a direction that you can utilize, you can be much more effective at producing a design that in the end is going to succeed for everybody, not just yourself, but for yourself, for the stakeholders, the company, and the people who are going to use your product. So that's what's very important about this whole thing. Originally, character and memorability are at the heart of great brands, and of course great packaging designs. And great brands produce great packaging designs because there are people who are capable. Usually the great brands can hire very good people who know what they're doing and are dedicated to making sure that there is a proper balance of all the things necessary to bring the product to market. So a little bit of this is what you should be thinking about when you design this. Be bold, be different, and look into the other shelf. What that means essentially, the other shelf means essentially that you're looking around the placement of your product. What do you see? It goes back to what I was saying before about looking at your competitors. The other shelf ultimately means the river of product that your product is going to sit in, and all the other stuff that you're going to see shouting at the customer. And you need to look at that, consider that, and try to compete in that environment. The better you are at competing in that environment, the better the chance of your product being the selected product will be. Impact is something you need to test and explore in your design product categories for unexpected sources of inspiration. And again, nobody's saying that you should copy anything, but inspiration can come from unbelievably diverse and strange directions. You should be very open to looking at things and considering things when you are doing design work. Something that you look at which might relate in no way to what you're doing could give you a kernel of an idea that you could apply to your particular graphic design, and you could come out a winner for it. So these are just some of the points that we're going to be considering this week in our discussion, our assignment, and our assessment. All right? Oh, and by the way, I'm going to shut off my mic now, or I'll shut off my video now, if that's okay with you all. And let me hide my video panel. Let's see, close off the video. There we go. Okay. All right, so that's that. Now, what I want to do before we get ahead is I have a couple of things that I just very quickly want to go over with you. The first thing is the Independence University Design Club. I don't know how many of you go in and check out the Independence University Design Club, but I recommend that you utilize the Independence University Design Club. And if you want to, you can just take a note that the address is right here. If you want to write it down, it's right there. And I am a contributor. I contribute. Now, what do I contribute? Generally in my courses, here's a course for DES-144. In this particular demonstration, I'm demonstrating one very little specific thing that a couple of my students came to me with and said that they were having trouble understanding. Now, this course, it runs 4 weeks, and I have 2 nights a week of 2 hours a night worth of instruction. So I'm going to demonstrate certain things each night, and there are going to be times when you're going to have to recreate some of the things that I'm doing. So if you really want to take a look at what I'm doing, you have to filter through and find the right segment of my video in order to get to the point where you're seeing the thing that you want. I will, on occasion, if I have people contact me, I will go in and record a very small segment of a particular series of steps. And what I generally do is 2 things. You'll see I have 2 panels open here, the Independence University and my YouTube site. What I generally do is I generally post everything that I do up to my YouTube site. Then what I will do is I will notify my students who have requested, actually the whole class, that I've created some small video demonstrating a particular series of little techniques or steps. And you can then go in and you can watch that little video. And the other thing that I do is I share it to the entire Independence University Design Club. I will also place a link into the Independence University Design Club. Now, I don't know many of you students yet. I will hopefully meet all of you before we're done with the 4 weeks, but some of you may have already gone into Independence University Design Club, and some of you might even have looked at a couple of my videos in here. I just don't know whether that's the case or not. But ultimately, I'm telling you that this is what I do. I don't do it for every step, and I usually reserve it for requests. If some student is having a real difficult time with something, you know, I will meet with you. And that's another thing. I have hours. I've made note of all this. I have hours in Blackboard. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But the other thing that I do is I will create these little video demonstrations of a particular tip or technique. So if you want to get oriented to that, go into Independence University Design Club and scroll down. It's around October 30th, 2016. And just take a look at this type on a path exercise, and I think you'll get a sense of what I'm talking about. They're very short videos. They're not long. They're like maybe between 5 and 10 minutes tops. But they demonstrate a particular isolated thing that relates to a particular topic, which in this case is a topic from within DES-144. So, you know, whereas you can learn something by looking at it, this is really directed towards the student in DES-104, which if you haven't already taken DES-104 because you're in the school, ultimately you will take it. Now, of course, you're in 220, what is it, 244. You're in 244, so you've passed to DES-104. You've already taken that. But my point is that this is what I do. So that's the first thing, and it's in the Independence University. There's the address. The other thing I just want to point out is here's my YouTube site. This is my YouTube site. You will become familiar with this because this is where I post everything. And as you can see, I got a whole bunch of stuff in here. A lot of them are lessons from courses, but there are a lot of other things where they're little breakout demonstrations and whatnot. And as I was saying to you, hi, Tamara. Let me just finish my thought, and I'll say hi to you. So what I will do basically is I will put everything in here, and then as I told you, I will also notify you as if somebody came in, like say for instance Tamara. Tamara came in and said to me, oh Tamara, do me a favor. I really want you to have your mic on, but in the future, and this goes for everybody, if you're going to come in and have your mic on, then you really must put yourself in a quiet location. You have to have television, radio off, and your children, dogs, and friends have to leave you alone because I need a clean recording. And I definitely want you guys to have the mics on. I'm one very much for putting mics on. You can have your mics on, you can talk to me. If you're not in a clean environment, then I ask you to shut your mic off until I address you, and I will basically say something to you. Then you can turn your mic on. However, if you want to have your mic on in class through the entire class, you are more than welcome to do that. Okay, I don't keep half as much care for the where is the darn thing, the oh God, I don't even see it here. Where are the notes in? Jeez, I don't even see them. Anyway, I encourage you to have your mic on. Just make sure that when you do have your mic on, you're in a quiet environment so I get a clean recording. And by the way, as I was saying, this is my YouTube site. There it is right there. It's easy for you to get to my YouTube site because I will eventually, if it's not tonight, before the end of the week, I will have something linked up in there for you that you will ultimately have a way to get to it. And if you want, you can send me an email and I'll give you that information. So Tamara, I know you're not in a quiet room. Put your mic on for a moment and say hi to me. Are you hearing me okay? Tamara?
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? So tell me a little bit about yourself. This is the first time we met. We'll take a moment.
No, actually, you helped me quite a bit in the Student Success Center. So I knew exactly who you were.
You know what? I'm sorry. I didn't recognize your name, Tamara.
Yep. I'm the one who had all the questions, and I think it was usually you, me, and the British guy. That was
okay.
That was
Either Simon Phillips or what's the other one's name? Can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about, though.
Yes.
Okay.
I also wanted to tell you that both of the links that are on your page for the class, that they're both invalid. I had to get through IT.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to do this then. I'm going to open up Zoom. And right there's my PMI, everybody. Everybody take a look. I'll fix this, but this is my PMI. Tamara, can you verify, is that the PMI that was in there? Is that what you used? Does that look familiar?
Yeah, that's the PMI that's on the page, but as far as the actual links and the actual where you can put in the browser, both of those links are invalid.
Okay. I'll go in and try to fix that. I don't know exactly. I guess what I can do is just replace them with this PMI, and you can come in using that PMI. Would that work for you, Tamara?
Oh, that works.
Yeah, I don't know why that link would be invalid. I mean, it shouldn't be, but I'll see what I can do to fix it. However, just keep in mind, everybody. Tamara, can you see that?
Yes.
Can you see it here?
Yes.
There it is, guys. The PMI. 679-863-5324. So in the future, that's it. That's what you're looking for. Okay. I'll see what I can do about fixing it on the site. But in the meantime, at least now you got it. If you guys would like, I'll send you an email with it in it later on tonight. Okay. Make a note of that. Send email with PMI. Okay, got that. All right, so that's what I will do. Okay, so quickly back to this, and thank you for telling me that, Tamara. Put the mic back on because I wanted to just. I know that I met you in Blackboard, but I don't really know you. So tell me a little bit about yourself, real quick.
Okay. Well, let's see. There isn't much to tell. Basically, I'm 40 years old. I have kind of a big family that stays around, as you can hear in the background, and I just have to make them quiet. My two nephews, the youngest ones. I've been in the Army for 9 years.
Okay.
Let's see. And that's about. I'm originally from Illinois. I've been living in Georgia for about 4 years.
Well, how was your experience so far? How has your experience been so far with Independence University?
Oh, it's been pretty good. I actually have had some pretty good instructors. A couple that maybe I won't say that they weren't so good, but that maybe taught a little above what the students' level were in the class.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you know, I've had some pretty good experiences, and I've learned quite a bit, even though I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but I'm
It
getting there.
takes time. You'll get there. It takes time. It takes time. You have to, first of all, be exposed to the stuff. You have to work with it, and then you have to get a little bit of experience. So it takes time, but you're on the path. That's the important thing. Let me ask you this. You said that you came in and visited me several times in Blackboard.
Yes.
Okay, was I helpful? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm saying this for the
Yeah.
benefit, not your benefit. I'm saying this for the benefit of the rest of the class so that they can get to know me a little bit through somebody who does, so that they can know whether or not I'm going to help them. That's really what it comes down to.
Honestly, whenever I went to the Student Success Center or went to Blackboard, I was kind of, you know, kind of jazzed up if you were free, because you and Christy are probably you, Christy, and Wanda are probably the ones who afford me the most help.
Oh,
But you when I visited you though, you really helped me get my little last minute things together and make sure that I understand what it is that you're doing and why.
yeah.
And okay, just do this, just do this, just do this.
Mhm.
Because sometimes when you go in there, that's what they do. They say, okay, well, and you say, okay, well, I have this question about this. Okay, well, and then they just sit there. So,
Okay. Well, I'm basically asking this for the benefit of the rest of the students. You obviously met me. I don't know. I didn't even recognize you. The name didn't click, and unfortunately, I don't know who else is in the class because nobody else is here right now. And you know, I'd have to look at the list. But when I looked at it, I didn't recognize. I recognized one or two people that perhaps I know. So you know, it's all kind of like to get to know each other and to understand what we can do. And I want you all to know, just as I want you to know, Tamara, that I will do what I can to help you in any way that I can. And I talked about that earlier. I am available in Blackboard, and I have my hours listed. Did you happen to go in and take a look at the announcements that I placed yet, Tamara?
no, I haven't had a chance to look at the announcements or anything yet. I had kind of a busy day. I worked a little bit today, and I had to take care of some things, so I didn't get a chance. So after I
Okay.
got out of class and got through with the initial housekeeping stuff and what's expected and what the end result should be, then I was going to really take a look into what.
Well, what you're going to find if you go in and take a look at the announcements, you're going to find that I've placed a number of valuable links in there for you that will help you do your work for this week. Usually each week I have several links that I supply to kind of give you some shortcuts to things that will make it easier for you to answer questions, do things. Now, you know, the course provides material as well. What I do is I generally find some additional stuff that I put in there to make it easier for you to get a broader look. That's really what I try to do. And if you take a look at my, as a matter of fact, let's quickly go to it. Let's go to announcements here real quickly. And you'll see that I've given you a link to our learning coach, everybody. Christy Paulson, are you familiar with her, Tamara, at all?
Yes, she is one of the other people in the Student Success Center that I normally get help from.
Okay.
I mean, and she's pretty good.
Yeah,
She's
so
definitely.
Christy is not only going to be available in the Student Success Center like I am, but Christy will also be our assistant. So, you know, if you click on this link, you'll see that there's actually a here's her schedule, here's her information, and I don't know why she used yellow, but she did. But you can read there and see where her availabilities lie, and you could actually access her if you can't get me. But I'm also available, and I know I put that, I believe I put it in my either I put it, let's go back to home for a minute. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I put my instructor bio, either in instructor bio or live sessions. In one of these two, I indicated my hours for Blackboard. Let me know if you go in there and find that to be untrue. And if that's not the case, I will go in and I will do that. I will modify that. But I'm available in Blackboard myself Wednesday night and Saturday night. Wednesday night from 7 to 11, Wednesday night, Blackboard. You know where Blackboard, obviously. And Saturday from 7 o'clock until 12. So, I mean, guys, it's totally up to you. If you guys have problems with anything, look for me either Wednesday night or Saturday night. Look for Christy, and she will help you as well. And I think Tamara will tell you that there are also some capable instructors in Blackboard that will help you as well. So you should be able to get the help. You can call me. I have a phone number in there. You can call me. I can't say that I answer every single call the moment I get it, but I will call every call back. Please do me a favor, because I'm getting old and I can't hear very well. When you send me or when you call me, make sure that you carefully and slowly and clearly leave me a number so I can call you back, because a lot of times people speak extremely quickly and unclear, and I can't make out what they're saying, and I don't know how to reach them back. I have to go through a whole process of sending emails and doing all this stuff. So if you do call me, just take your time, be loud and clear so I can, reach you back. And you can also send me an email. I have no problem with that as well. Back to announcements real quickly. Again, we're going to be meeting on Wednesday night, so I'll get a lot of this. I'll get a lot of this nonsense done tonight, and then we'll focus more on looking at some creative stuff Wednesday night. Okay, the Writing Center. I recommend that every one of you. Tamara, have you ever gone in and taken advantage of the Writing Center?
Yes.
Okay, well, one of the reasons that I want to recommend that for everybody in the class is because I have noticed they've changed the course structure a little bit. You're going to look at this, and for you, you'll probably notice it, Tamara, because you're in 244 and you've been through some of the lesser classes. They're putting a little more emphasis on writing. And I have to tell you something, not all students have the same capability for writing. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not the greatest writer either. I'm in the process now of going for a master's degree, which is, I turned 65 in less than a month, and I'm 65 going for a master's degree. So you can imagine I'm not at all happy of all the work I got to do it, But the bottom line is that writing is very important. Communicating, it's a part of communicating. And as a graphic designer, one of the things that you have to do is you have to learn ways to communicate your ideas. And it's absolutely essential. You have to be able to stand in front of your peers, and you have to stand in front of people who are stakeholders. And I hope you understand what the concept of a stakeholder is. Tamara, do you know what a stakeholder is when I say the word stakeholder?
Not exactly. Now, I'm not even gonna lie, not exactly. I mean, the first thing that I think of when you say something like that is like a shareholder, somebody who has like a vested interest.
That's it. That's it. You nailed it. It's absolutely perfect. That's exactly what they are. Stakeholders, shareholders, people with vested interest. And who would those people be? Perhaps people who sell products. If you're going to produce a product for somebody, then somebody's going to sell it. And this person who sells it has a stake in your work. So ultimately, they should be able to stand there and work with you to get that piece to be where it needs to be. Because again, you're not a magician. You need to have information given to you, and the clearer the information is, the better your chances are to come up with a solid solution. And not everybody understands that clearly. A lot of people think that graphic designers are just, like all on the same level. They're all a bunch of wizards, and that's not the way it is. So what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to communicate, and that means speaking, and it also means writing. In this particular case, there is actually a student writing center that you can go to, and you can either bring your work in and show the work for a critique, or work with somebody there who will help you to improve the overall flow of your written piece. I strongly encourage you to take advantage of this for two reasons. Number one, it's going to help you to get a better grade. Number two, just like coming into Blackboard Learning Center, you're going to find people like myself who are going to show you some things that will help you to understand a little bit better what it is you're trying to do. It's the same thing with this writing center. You'll go in there and they'll teach you some things that you can keep in mind the next time you go in and you try to write something. So that's why I have this particular announcement in there. And we'll go back real quickly. And 24 tips for creating inspirational mood boards. This is something that I put together. It is actually an attachment, and I'm not going to open it because all I want you to do is go in and take this thing. I even have it in front of me. I could read it, but you know what? I'm not going to do that because it'll take a lot of time to do. And maybe if you want, I'll talk more about it later. If I have time, I'll talk more about it later. But the bottom line is it's a PDF. You can download it. You can go in there and read the whole thing, and you will learn some very valuable tips for creating your inspirational mood board, okay? And it really needs to be inspirational when you create a mood board. I mean, I created a mood board. We'll talk about mine tonight. We're going to talk about a number of other things as well. The next thing is great links to innovative packaging. You were given a link for your discussion to go in and take a look at some packaging. I have provided you with another link. I don't know whether there's one or two in here. There might be more than one. Let me see what I got. I'm not sure. Well, I got one. 24 tips for creating inspirational mood boards, which I think is actually a link to 24 tips for creating inspirational mood boards. So you can either follow the link or you can download my PDF. I probably should have had that in one, but doesn't matter. Then, of course, my welcome to packaging design. All right, so that's that. So we have three things that we are going to be expected to do each week. We are going to have one discussion, and we're going to have one assignment, and we're going to have one assessment. Couple of things I just want to mention about these things. It's very important that you understand that a discussion is an interaction. You understand what a discussion means, right, Tamara? When you talk about a discussion,
Absolutely.
It's basically you and I communicating to one another. So when you enter into a discussion, you have to try to do it as quickly as possible so that you allow people the opportunity to reply to you. One of the things that I really don't like about this, let me show you. I'm going to go to discussion one. Let me go to discussion one. Here's what I do not like. They give you a due date here of Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time, end of week one. What invariably happens is students will wait until the deadline is on them, you know, an hour or two before the very end of the week, and then they'll go in and they'll put their main topic in, and then they'll put in their two replies and get mad at me when I take points away from them saying, well, I got it in by the deadline. The bottom line is it's a discussion. You should not be putting things in by 11:59 p.m. end of week one. You should be doing it earlier in the week. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the, you'll go in and take a look at the rubric, you'll see that the rubric tells you that your main topic, in order to be on time, must be in by the end of the day Wednesday. Have you looked at the rubric yet, Tamara?
No, but I'm familiar with that because I usually try to get my discussions in on Tuesdays. If I can't get them in on Tuesdays or something like that, then I'll try to get them in early on Wednesday.
Well, you see here, we're also in DES-244. And to be totally honest with you, each and every one of you students have been through this before. You know what the deal is. You know that there's a deadline of Wednesday for your main topic. You know that you have to have citations, and you have to have referencing. And if it asks for images, you should by now know how to embed an image into it. None of this is that difficult. I mean, I could understand it a lot more if you were in a 101 course. That the newer people struggle with this more. But you guys have been through this process and know this a little bit better. But I still mention this because it's amazing how many people try to pull this banana boat stuff on me. You know, it really is annoying. The truth of the matter is it's a discussion, and have some respect for me and the course and yourself. I mean, really participate in the discussion. Get it in as quickly as you can. Wait a day and go back in and make a contact with one of your students or one of your fellow students. Go in and write a reply. Don't wait until the very end. Keep in mind one very important thing. If you're replying to a student, theoretically, you want the student to have the opportunity to reply back to you so that you engage in a conversation. That's what a conversation is, right, Tamara? I mean, does that sound like one to you?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
And if you wait until, let's say you wait until 11 o'clock Saturday night and you put your discussion in, that gives 59 minutes for somebody to go in and reply to you. That's not really participating in a discussion, is it?
No,
not properly. I mean, I'm not saying you're not submitting something, but you're not really participating in a discussion if you're not giving the people the opportunity to participate back, to work back with you. So I know I probably sound like an old dud, but that's really the way I see it. I really think that there should be a certain level of respect now. You guys are more advanced students, and I'm looking for a better commitment from everybody. I'll help you. I'll do whatever I can to help you. But the bottom line is, this is all about you, your effort. We're online now, and you have to step up. I mean, my master's degree is online. I have to work like a dog. I hate it. I hate every minute of it. I'm not kidding you. I'm not lying to you. I hate it. But you know what? I know that after I get done with the whole thing, I'm going to have a master's degree. And I'm going to be proud of myself because I literally did it. And I know damn well that you people will be proud of yourself if you do it. But the most important thing is that not only get the pride of ownership of your degree, but also understand this is your opportunity to learn from people who have the ability to teach you the right way and get you going in a good direction. That's what I want to do. And I can only do so much with that. I need your help. I need everybody's help to do that. Okay? Are there any questions?
Nope, no questions.
Good. Any comments? Anything you want to say at this point?
No, but I really like that you absolutely have no filter. I like that.
Well, I mean, I don't go nuts, but I have to be honest. I have to be honest about this, and I have to show a certain level of passion. If a leader doesn't show passion, you're in the military, right? If you don't have a passion leader, it doesn't make you feel very secure, does it?
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So if the leader's passionate and committed, you know that you can trust this person, or at least you can feel solid with them. You know that those people are there 100%. That's what it really comes down to. And again, I try to be there 100%, and I will be 100%. But I ask you that be 100% too, because again, a lot of this depends on you and your interaction with me. If you have a problem with a particular thing that I discuss in course of a class, contact me either by phone or send me an email. Explain what the problem is. I'll see what I can do to remedy it. There's a number of ways that we can go to remedy something like that. But again, I don't know this occurs. That's another reason why, Tamara, that I try to allow people who come into my class to have their mics on at all times, because usually I find that the majority of the people in my classes are smart enough and have enough of a level of concern for others that they don't just jump in and make all kinds of comments. They generally wait until they have some very specific thing to add or a question to ask before they speak up, like you're doing right now. You're actually handling this beautifully. You're waiting for me to contact you and ask you for something, or if you have something that you need to say, you put the mic on and you speak. And I find that that generally works out really good, and it's a great way to really know my students. I don't have a great opportunity to know my students. So this is one of the ways that I have that I can get to know my students a little bit. And I really do hope that they appreciate it, because I don't think every instructor does this. It's one of the things that I do. All right, so let's see. We got assignments. There are 2 assignments here. Week 1 assignment, The Art of the Mood Board. I assume you're going to read this, right, Tamara?
Yes.
Okay. So, again, some of this information you saw in my my little PowerPoint opener, and I'm going to, this is actually a little demonstration of somebody else's mood board. The mood board can be anything that you want it to be, provided that you do. Oh, and by the way, what you guys are going to have to do is you're going to have to lock into a particular project here. Now, there's 3 projects that you can pick. You can do a Chateau Vineyards, which is a wine, obviously. You can do Wild Bill's Gourmet Hot Sauce. And you can also do the Cool Breeze Perfume or Cologne. I don't care which one you choose, but I do really require that you use one of these 3. I don't really want you to suggest one on your own. There's a very good reason for this. One of the things that you're all going to have to learn is that graphic designers don't make up things. I mean, they do, but generally when they're working, they don't make up things. They have assignments given to them. If you have somebody bring you packaging for a group of hot dogs, it may not be the most fun thing in the world to do, but you're getting paid. And so you're going to have to design a very appropriate packaging for hot dogs. So in this particular case, you have a choice. You can either go with the Chateau Vineyard, the Wild Bill Gourmet Hot Sauce, or the Cool Breeze Perfume or Cologne. Unfortunately, have to pick one of those 3. Okay? You cool with that, Tamara?
Yes, actually, the Chateau Vineyard is probably the one that just struck me, because that's kind of right up my alley.
Good. All right. Well, I have no problem with that. You pick whatever one you want. There are logos, as you can see. You can download a logo. You are required to use the logo, and you are required to use the logo based on the information that you are given. As you read through the assignments each week, you're going to do the things that the assignment tell you to do. What I will try to do is I will try to demonstrate some of this. I will also at the same time try to go a step beyond each week. I will show you things of greater value each week in the hopes that, number 1, I inspire you to learn more, and number 2, I make it possible for you to produce something which will vastly improve the overall appearance of your portfolio, if you choose to make the effort to try to do things that I show you. Okay? And shortly, when I get into Illustrator and I show you some of the things that I have, I think you'll get a better idea of that. All right, what I'm talking about. So that's it. You're going to, for this assignment, choose one of these 3, download the logo. Make sure that when you bring that logo in, that logo, I'm not exactly sure what it comes in as. I think it comes in as an Adobe Illustrator file. What I would recommend that you do is I would recommend that when you bring that Adobe Illustrator file in, that you save it and save it as and put your name on it, so that you'll have the original in a folder if anything ever goes wrong. And then what you'll do is you'll have your version with your name on it that you can modify each week to do the required steps. Does that make sense to you? Have you done stuff like that in the past, Tamara?
Yes.
Okay, so I just recommend that you do that, because whenever you're working in any kind of an assignment like this, you probably are given resources. You never want to jeopardize the original resources. You always want to save the original resources, which means, and a lot of times you'll get something like if you're working in Photoshop, you'll get pictures given to you, and they might be a TIFF or they might be a JPEG. Well, there's little you can do with a TIFF or a JPEG in Photoshop anyway. So what you would do is you'd open the JPEG up, if it's a JPEG, in Photoshop and save it as a PSD. Now what will happen is that JPEG will be released and go back and sit in the folder, and you'll be working on a version of it in the native PSD format. Is that understandable?
Yes. Now, is there a particular program that we're supposed to use for this assignment?
Yeah, Illustrator.
Okay.
Adobe Illustrator. I think it'll say that at some point. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. All right, so the logo you download is an Illustrator file. So here's the thing. Another part of this is another part of this that I think is very important. And again, I know this is a very boring night, but this is the very first night. And I got a lot to say to you that I would like to try to get out of the way so that we can start looking at some technical things and start playing with the program. One of the most important things that you all need to learn in this school from instructors like myself is the proper utilization of these programs. What programs do you use, and when do you use them? When is it the right way to use a program like Adobe Illustrator? When is it the right time to use a program like Adobe Photoshop? What's the right time to get involved in working with a program like InDesign? You might know a little bit about this, but it's very important that you realize that when you're working with certain type of art, it's absolutely essential that you do it in Adobe Illustrator. Now, a lot of people don't have a great deal of experience with Illustrator, but that's what you're here to learn. And I'm going to tell you flat out that it'll take you a little time. There is a learning curve with all these programs, but in the end, not only are you going to find Illustrator to be not that technically challenging, but in fact, you're going to end up seeing that it's quite fun. It's a lot of fun to work with this program. You just have to avoid the fear factor that comes with it, and you have to beat the learning curve. Once you beat the learning curve and overcome the fear factor that exists in a program like this, you're going to have a great time with the program, because the program is really a lot of fun to work with. When I'm working on projects, part of the biggest part of the fun for me comes in when I'm working in Adobe Illustrator and working in Adobe Photoshop. When I start laying out programs in Adobe InDesign, then it becomes more laborious and it becomes more boring. It's the same with working in Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver is a very boring program. I mean, it's not boring because it's creative, but it's very much more technical, and it becomes a little bit more difficult to deal with than when you're working with Illustrator and Photoshop, which is a great deal of creativity involved in it, okay? So again, the file that you're going to be downloading in all cases should be an Illustrator file, and it's in black and white. You will be choosing a color scheme for this assignment. Now, this goes back to what I was saying to you a little bit earlier about branding and choosing the right color scheme for a particular project. In this particular case, you are going to be choosing color as opposed to having color given to you. It's very possible when you work on a project like this, you may be given colors. They may actually say to you, these are the 4 colors that you must use. And if you don't use those colors, you're going to run into trouble. In this particular case, you're allowed a certain level of freedom here, where you can go in and choose a color scheme for this assignment. So what I really want you to do, and this goes for everybody, I know I'm speaking to Tamara because you're here, but this goes for everybody. I want you to be creative. I want you to have fun. I want you to look at color and experience color and come up with something very interesting. And when you are incorporating type into it, I want you to have fun with type too. Try to have some good design sense. You know, you've been given design theory, right? You've been all through design theory. You have some memory of all the design theory that they've shown you in the past, Tamara?
Yes, I have some memory.
Okay. Well, you know, what's going to happen is little by little, as you apply these theories of principles of design, right? That's what I'm really talking about. You remember at least the crap theory, right?
Yes.
I'm not the first one that has said crap to you. I mean, you've heard it before, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Okay. I mean,
Yes.
there are other design theories as well. There are many, many design theories, but that's one that they talk about frequently in here. Okay. And again, that has a lot to do with when you're designing this. So really what we're talking about here, you know, in terms of this logo is taking a black and white file, bringing it to the next step and giving it color, creating a color scheme in this assignment and using one or more of the colors of the logo week 2 when you do the next step for the practicing. So let's see. The logo you download is an Illustrator file, is in black and white. You will be choosing a color scheme in this assignment. You'll be choosing a color scheme. And you will be using one or more of those colors in the logo in week 2. So we're not really working on the logo yet, although you can if you want. This week is mood board time. I'm going to show you my mood board in a moment, but really what I want you to focus on this week is putting together a mood board. All right, you good with that?
Yes, I think I did a mood board in which class was it? I think DES-246 or 245. It was one of those.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I did with my mood board, and you're going to do something similar. You don't have to make it look anything like mine. Just go for the content. Look, here's it's telling you specifically what to do. The size of your mood board. You're going to utilize 11 by 14, and they don't care whether you do it portrait or landscape. Totally up to you how you want to do it. I did mine landscape. My choice. You don't have to do what I do. You do what you do. But I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to explain what the required design elements are, show you how I did what I did. If you're comfortable with that, I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to let you do it. Okay? So the required design elements will be, you're going to come up with a color palette, which means more than one color. You're going to work with several colors. You guys, I've been at this point now, Tamara, I'm sure you've actually, at least at one time or another, been to Adobe Color, which used to be called Cooler. Remember?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm excited about that.
All right. So what I would recommend that you do, because it's easy. I would go to Cooler, and what I would do is I would go in and all right. So let me go back for a second. I would go back for a second, and you're gonna do Chateau Vineyards, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what you could do is you could go in and you could look up wine. You could. I'm just coming up with some different things that you might look in there. Cabernet, you might look for Cabernet, you might look for wine, you know, look when you do your searches. And what's going to happen is you're going to get tons and tons and tons of color groups that come up in Cooler. And then what you're going to do is pick several of them or pick one of them, however many you want, and then you're going to bring them in. And from those groups that you bring in, you're going to choose your own unique palette. And the palette can be, I would say, reasonably any more than 3 colors. I know I did more than 3. So I'm saying the color palette should be at least 3 colors or more. Now, here's the important thing for you to understand. This is not a process color job you're working on here. There are 2 different types of printing modes. There's a process color mode. Are you familiar with this at all? And then there's CMYK there's process color, CMYK color, and there's spot color or process color.
I'm familiar with that.
Pantone or spot and process or CMYK. So in this case, what you're working on is you're working on a full-blown CMYK. Now, on the one hand, that means that the sky's the limit, right? Because it's 4-color process, you can go wild. However, I'm not looking for you to go wild. I'm looking for you to be deliberate. I'm looking for you to be strategic. I'm looking for you to be refined. I'm looking for you to go in there and choose the best of the best and create something unique and wonderful. That's what I'm looking for. You know, I don't need a rainbow. I just need something that's brilliant. There's a difference between being a rainbow and being brilliant, right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So here's what you're going to do for your required elements. You're going to give me a color palette. You're going to give me typography. You're going to incorporate, now this also includes the logo, Tamara, and all the rest of you. You're also going to incorporate the logo without the color. Just bring the element in for now, okay? So you're going to bring the logo in because the logo is the basis of your design. It's sort of like the central focus of your overall design. The logo, you'll see when you download it, is incredibly important to the overall theme of your design. Okay, so your mood board will have that logo in there. You'll see mine when I show it to you in a moment. The color palette, you're going to choose 3 or more colors that relate well with one another and also support the creative thinking that you're going to employ in your packaging design and your label, because you are ultimately going to be doing a box and you're ultimately going to be doing a label as well. The label is going to be put on a prototype looking bottle, and your box is going to be an actual 3-dimensional box, both of which I'm going to give you suggestions and demonstrations as to how to do it. Now, some of you are going to think that this is very difficult, and it isn't the easiest thing to do, but I will tell you something, it looks pretty darn cool when you get done doing these things, and I will show you that tonight. So you are going to actually learn something that's pretty darn cool, and if you have the wherewithal to do it, you're going to end up with a pretty darn exciting piece to put in your portfolio. I promise you that, okay? So, color palette, typography, shapes, texture, imagery. All those things must be in there. Then what you're going to do, and remember what I told you about the Writing Center, along with this, you're going to submit a minimum 50-word document that explains your design choices for your mood board. Why did you choose the color scheme? What is the typeface appropriate for the product? Why? Does imagery contribute to the storytelling process and communicate the brand's image, and why? Do all the design decisions capture the mood and define the overall look and feel of the brand? You'll save it as a PDF file. Now, if you really want to do this well, you're going to save your piece, your AI file, your mood board, as a PDF as well. And you can combine those 2 PDFs together as one piece and submit it to me that way. For me to, well, actually, if you read right here, create a multi-page PDF document that is both the mood board and the 50-word write-up first and the mood board second. So you're going to have your write-up first, your mood board second, name the file, tells you how to do it and whatnot. So let me ask you this, Tamara. Do you know how to combine, PDFs? Do I need to show you that tonight?
No, I know how to do it.
Okay, so you're going to open up the PDF Adobe Acrobat, right?
Right.
And
you add the files and place them exactly where you want. You're going to drag the 2 files in, and you're going to make sure that your text file. And here's a little thing for you to understand. I don't know whether you know this or not, but you actually. And you probably don't want to do this because you want to do it as a PDF. That's what the assignment is telling you. But you can actually drag a Microsoft Word document into PDF, and it will automatically turn it into a file format that can be read by PDF. I didn't know whether you knew that or not. Yeah, I knew that.
Good, good. So that's what you're going to do. That's the assignment. Are there any questions? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. No questions.
All right.
Not at all.
All right, so the assignments, let's go back to this for 1 second. Now, the last thing we'll talk about real quickly is the assignment mood board. Okay, assessment, concept and strategies. All right, so again, learning objective covered. Discuss 3 ways. This goes into what I had in my, my opener. You have a quiz here based on week 1's readings and videos, and there are a list of videos and readings. I assume you saw them when we looked at the assignment. They might even be listed at the bottom here. There we go. Course media, week 1 instructions, discussion, assignment overview. Okay, so those, I believe, are all the links that you're going to need to answer the questions that are up here. Okay. Discuss 3 ways a package attracts attention. Why? Discuss the lifestyle of package design. These are the concepts and strategies. So this quiz is based on week 1 reading and videos. There are 15 questions on this quiz, and it is not timed. So what does that tell you right off the bat? It tells you that you have as long as you need to take this test. You clear on that, Tamara?
Yes, I'm here.
No, you can take as long as you need.
Okay, and that's cool because sometimes you need that extra time.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you actually want to, if you have a question that you're having trouble with, you can probably very quickly do a Google search and find the answer that you need. And in my mind, that's not cheating. They're allowing you enough time to do this kind of stuff. But they're asking you to be careful and read the questions to help discourage cheating. Some questions will seem like others, but the values have changed, or what is asked for is changed. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But be sure you know the question is asking, and I guess they try to make these trick questions. So really, I guess the thing is, be careful when you're answering the questions, because sometimes they're trick questions. I don't like taking these tests because I'm terrible at it, and I get caught with trick questions all the time. I don't know what they mean by cheating. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I don't know. If they're not being very clear on that, I don't know what.
If it's open book, how can it be cheating?
That's exactly it. If it's open book, I mean, if it's open time, it's not necessarily saying it's open book, Tamara. It's just saying it's not timed. And usually when you think of something that's not timed, it's giving you plenty of time to do a little bit of research to get the required answer. And honestly, in a learning situation such as this, if you show the initiative to go in and check something out and see if you can figure out what the right answer is so that you can pass a test, that shows that at least you're willing to go in and utilize resources, and you're going to learn something. So, I mean, I don't know how you can possibly go wrong with that, but what can I tell you? All right, so you're good with that? 15 questions? Does it seem like a nightmare?
No, it doesn't say. Actually, no. Okay. I'm usually a little more anxious than some of the other more anxious at the beginning than some of the other classes, but not this one.
Okay. Why is that?
Because it's pretty much straightforward. So okay. I mean, it's in some of the other classes that there's some stuff that's not being put out there in the initial information, and if you don't watch the lectures, if you don't get to the lectures and be there to ask questions, then I mean sometimes you can get lost. So
well, there's a lot to this one too. I mean, you'll see once we get going. Week 1, I think just like in any other course, I think week 1 is relatively easy. But then what happens is week 2 and week 3 and week 4, we progress into more complex issues. That's why I generally like to sort of like show my hand early in the week so that you get a sense of where we're going, and at least you can feel somewhat inspired by what you see, hopefully, and maybe anticipate the weeks that are going to come, and it'll cause you to come in and enjoy the class experience with me and ask me questions. Again, one of the problems that I find is that people who don't attend the class and just watch the recorded session, they don't get the opportunity to stop me and ask me questions when they feel they need it. And I can't tell you the number of times I have people come into Blackboard saying, I'm watching the video that the instructor did and it's not making any sense to me. Well, I haven't got the ability to look at their video to see what's going on. I'm assuming that the instructor's more than capable of demonstrating the thing properly. I believe that's true. I believe what is missing was at the time having the student given the student the ability to stop the instructor at a particular time and inquire at that moment of what's going on and maybe getting some clarity. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, I think, what part of the problem is. So that's why I encourage people to come to the lessons and not just watch the recorded sessions, because it's usually with you here, there's going to be some point you're going to want to pipe up and say something to me, ask me a question, ask for some clarification, or ask me to expand on something. And you can do that because I give you access to the mics. And that's one of the big strong points of allowing that to happen. All right, so that gets us through this week at least, and I'm not going to go into what we're going to do next week. What I probably will do is we're going to have another meeting on Wednesday. You know this, right? That our next meeting will be Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock Mountain Time.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully you'll come, and I'll see you then. I will probably, at that meeting, I will probably go over the assignment, assessment, and discussion for next week so that you're prepared for that as well. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'm not going to go into it in great detail, which I will wait and do next Monday, but I will go over a little bit just so I can kind of give you an idea of what we're going. I know you can go in and look at it all by yourself, but if I'm here explaining some of this stuff, I think I add to it a little bit. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong.
Okay. All right. Any questions, any thoughts, anything before we move on? You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Go ahead.
Put everything out on the table, so I'm good.
Okay. So keep in mind, there's Independence University, William Sweeney. Look for me because I will be posting things. And also, just to go back to this for 1 minute, Tamara, have you ever utilized this at all? You ever go in and use this for anything?
Oh, the Facebook?
Yeah.
No.
A couple of things you might want to consider. From time to time, instructors put stuff in there. I know for a fact I regularly put stuff in there, so you should go in and take a look to see what I put in there because some of it you might find interesting. But the other thing, too, is that you can go into Independence University Facebook and you can get an independent critique. You can put something in here. You can post something and get a critique. So if you do a piece of work and you want to get some impressions beyond your class, you can put it in here and people will give you a critique. Okay. Now, as your instructor, I will give you critique. And that's another thing that's very important. Towards the end of the mod, I want to mention this up front. Towards the end of the mod, week 3, week 4 especially, I will do critiques of your work. So if you really want to get some insight from me beyond what we're able to do through the course itself, I recommend that all of you keep this in mind that week 3, week 4, I'm going to be asking for you guys to contribute to critiques, which means essentially what you're going to do is you're going to email me with either instructions or files, native files that I'm going to open up and look at and discuss in class. Have you had critiques before, Tamara, by your instructors?
Yes, and it's it's kind of my Achilles heel a little bit because
Why?
sometimes I don't know. So I guess I'm always a little nervous.
Well, don't be nervous because all these instructors, believe it or not, are your friends. And I want to tell you something else. It's a really good idea to take the time and trouble to do these critiques because you got friends and you got people that, believe it or not, are going to be light on you doing this. When you're working, okay, you'll really feel the strain when people start critiquing your work. You'll really feel the strain. There's a much greater threat when you're being paid by somebody and they're critiquing your work, especially if it's not going the way that it should go. Then you have to worry. But when you're in a situation like this, my critiques are generally always positive. The goal is to give you some insight that would help you move along a little bit better because hopefully these projects that you produce in the end can be good enough to go into a portfolio that will help you go out and get work. So it all goes back to what I was saying before. You take out of this what you put in. I mean, I try to put in as much as I can for you, but you have to contribute. You have to put in just like I put in. And the more you put in, the more you get to take out. Does that make sense? And then, of course, there's YouTube. At some point, I'll get you the instructions for YouTube. All right? All right, so here are since we're talking about packaging, what I'm doing here is I'm demonstrating some of the projects that I've worked on. Are you there, Tamara?
Yes, I'm here, and I'm looking at it. That looks really good, actually.
So let me explain what I did here. I'm just giving you some general examples of things that fall within the classification of packaging. okay? Actually, in this particular case, this is, let's say, peripheral packaging, and I'll explain that a little bit to you in a minute. What I did in this particular case is I was redesigning a logo for Momentum Brewhouse. And as you can see, I got three different Momentum logos that I'm supplying here. So what I tried to do is I tried to give a demonstration of how that logo would apply to different packaging product. And I have a barrel. I actually went online. I found a really beautiful shot of a barrel, and I brought the barrel in and I used the auto trace. Are you familiar with Illustrator at all?
Yes, I'm really familiar with Illustrator.
Okay, so you'll know that if you go to the object menu, you can come down to image trace and you can trace images. And the better the image, the better your trace is going to be, right? So this barrel is actually traced from a photo of a barrel. And then what I did was I applied the graphic to the barrel and I gave it some three-dimensional quality by using the enveloping object envelope distort, and I distorted this thing so that if you look at the envelope, see, I don't know, can you see that little blue highlighting there, Tamara?
Yes.
Yeah, that little blue highlighting is an envelope, and the envelope is to help make that brew house logo curve so that it appears to curve on the side of the barrel. That's basically what I did with that one. This one is different. This one is actually a 3D revolve. And I am going to show you through the course of this course how to work with, have you done anything with 3D yet, Tamara?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't done anything 3D yet.
Oh, well, you're going to love this because you're going to actually be able to make that barrel using a 3D revolve. I'm going to show you how it's done. And as a matter of fact, probably starting next week, I'll show you how to do it so that you can actually go in and practice this a little bit. And once you do a 3D revolve, and I'll explain the whole process to you. Once you do a 3D revolve, you can then go in and you can apply a graphic to it that you use a symbol, make a symbol out of it. You can apply the graphic as a symbol. And then this, what I did is the same thing. I went in, I got a picture of a glass of beer, auto traced it, and then what I did was I enveloped a logo over top of it, and that gives me my three different pieces of product. And I gave 4 different types of logo. I worked it out 4 different ways. So what I did was I showed 3 of them as demonstrations on the product, okay? So that's packaging. I mean, this is part of packaging. Here's another one. These are candles, and this is actually a design for a Christmas candle, and it's a combination of a Christmas candle and it's a Christmas tree ornament. So you would get this thing wrapped in cellophane as a Christmas tree ornament, and when you open it up, it's an actual candle. So I created the logo, and this, when I say logo, I mean this little hang tag. I created the hang tag, and I created my little 3D candle showing what it looks like closed, and then I created this one open. And I applied graphics to it in the 3D revolve environment. So,
okay, so how did you, is this the same image, or is this a different image, or is this something that you actually like?
Well, when you say, is it the same image or different image? I'm not sure what you mean, different image. Different image of what?
No, like how it's closed and then it's open?
No, here is what it is. This guy here, when I roll over it, you see how that's got a shape there? See that little blue shape?
Yes.
Okay, if I go over there, you see how it's got the same blue shape?
Yes.
Okay, so what I did essentially was I just took that shape and I moved the shape to another position. See? That's the revolve. So it's actually, that's the original shape. I'm going to show you how to do this. You'll see how.
Oh, okay. So originally
I
whole
made
candle.
two of them. I made two of them, and I moved one of them down onto the floor so that, or on, down to the base, so it looks like it's open. And then let's go edit, undo, and I made one that looks closed. So you get to see what it looks like closed, and you get to see what it looks like open. But it's a candle. That's really what it is.
Okay, that's pretty cool, because I didn't know if you had taken an original image and somehow did that. But yeah, that's
Everything that's there, Tamara, I made. Everything that's there. Watch this. I'll show you something. Go to the view menu and go to outline. Look at that. That's everything.
okay.
Everything there is vector art. I created that all using Illustrator. And I know it looks real complicated, but believe me when I tell you, most of the magic is being done by Adobe Illustrator. It's just, all it really comes down to is knowing a little bit about how it should be done and letting the program do it for you. And I'm going to show you these things. I'll show you many of these things. I'm not going to get to show you every single thing, but I'll show you many of these things. And by the time you're done, you should be rather comfortable with doing some of this stuff. And the more excited you get about doing it and the more you do it, the better you will be. And in the end, you'll be very good. And that's what I want. Okay?
Sounds good to me.
Now this is another one. Here's another one. This is what the actual product looks like. This is not rendering. This is just a bitmap. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to recreate those products right there. These right there are my recreation. Those are what I did using 3D Revolve. Okay? So this is what I used as a model, so to speak, and this is what I created to show you what the packaging or the product looks like. So really, if you take a look at all three of these things, there's branding and color being employed, and it's being applied to a product. This is a barrel, that's a product. That's a different type of barrel, that's a product. That's a glass of beer, that glass is a product. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yeah, and what reason I'm showing you this is because if you look over here, I got mood board, which I'm going to show you, and I got a hot sauce because I'm going to show you my project. I've actually done this project, and you can see what I produced, and I'm going to show you how I did it so that you could do something similar to submit to me. But I thought before I did all that, I'd show you a couple of other pieces that I did to give you an idea of what this is really all about, okay? So here's the candles, and again, as I say, go to the view menu. You look at the view menu outline. You see what I mean? There's your bitmap. And there is your artwork. That's the artwork that I used to create this. Looks pretty weird, but if you understand how this program works and what it's doing, it makes a whole lot of sense to you.
Now, see the black and white rendering right here. Is that all in just outlines?
No. Well, yeah, it's outlined. That shows you the actual vector shapes that are created and used to make the elements that we're looking at when we go back to the normal view, the CPU view, the GPU view. Okay? That's how the thing gets rendered by the program. But if you go to outline view, okay, outline view is showing you what the actual shapes look like that are used to make that. Okay? Let's go back to the items. Watch this. Go to the view menu and go to outline, and you see what happens? It's different. Why is it different? Because you see that shape right there? See that shape right there? That's the barrel shape. See it? That's the top of the barrel shape. You see this massive stuff over here?
That's from the image trace, right?
That's exactly right. And so is this. This is like this because that's the image trace. Two different things combined together to create one final effect. It's absolutely sensational, and it's easy to do. Once you understand it, you can create these great mock-ups. You can have a portfolio that shows stuff like this. And wouldn't that be nice? Take a look when it comes back eventually. There. Wouldn't that be nice to have a piece like that in your portfolio?
Yes, because that's would probably be better than anything that I have to put in my portfolio right now, and I haven't really put anything in my portfolio yet because I want to kind of fix everything first before I put it into my portfolio because I know 250 is coming up pretty soon.
That's right. So let's see what we can do in this particular course to give you some tools that will help you make a really terrific portfolio piece. At least we can make you one or two, and that would be something. So I'm just going to show you a couple more things here. Here's wax melts. This again, this is another one. This is the actual product. What they are basically is they're just little blobs of wax in a shape, and you sit them in a little cup, and they're candles. And this is different. I'll go to the view menu and show you outline on it. And this is different. You see how these things look like little cookies, I guess? That's a blend. You've heard of a blend, right? Have you ever played around with the blend? Go to
I haven't played around with it, but I've heard of it.
Object blend. See, and you got blend options and blend make. That basically you can go in there and you can create objects and you can blend the objects from one to another. And if you do it properly, you'll end up with something like this. Now you see how there's a very subtle little scalloping look on the side there? See it? You can see it just ever so slightly, a little bit of scalloping going on there. And then, of course, you got these little drop shadows that come off of it. And then this is just basically a logo that I distorted, or a label, I should say, that I distorted on it. Now, again, the reason I'm showing stuff like this to you guys is because we're essentially in a packaging course. And we're going to be working on packaging. And in effect, these are package pieces. These are pieces that involve the principles that we're working with as far as packaging is concerned. And I'm trying to show you some of the better things that I've done to inspire you to try to reach for the sky, so to speak, and to do some of this stuff. All right? Are there any questions so far?
No questions. And I've actually learned quite a bit since the little time that we've been here, because I didn't know how to use some of the other stuff that you're talking about, like the blending modes and the 3D distortion.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm pretty jazzed about learning some of that kind of
I'll
stuff.
be demonstrating things as we go through the weeks. I will be demonstrating things. So again, one of the things that I want you to be is jazzed up about this program, because to be honest with you, I've said this before, I'm pretty jazzed up about this program. This program is powerful, and really, once you get through the little bit of learning curve and you get beyond your fear, once you reach the point where you're no longer afraid to go in and try things, and once you actually succeed a few times with things and get inspired to go on and do more, you're going to find this is a very pleasurable program. And it's also, once you start thinking about what the program can do for you, you then have the ability to come up with some really cool solutions. Can it do everything? No. There's no single program that can. But this is a pretty strong program. And if you take a look at the project so far, okay, very quickly, just pop through them, you can see it can do an awful lot. I mean, there's no doubt about that, right? It does an awful lot for you. And again, this is, a lot of this is just very basic shapes that I'm making and letting the program do a lot of it, That brings me to the mood board. So let me click the mood board. So here's our mood board, all right? And what I did essentially was I did the things that I was asked to do. First of all, I chose, obviously, Wild Bill's hot sauce, okay? So I first of all downloaded the Wild Bill logo. There's the Wild Bill logo. So one of the things that you're going to want to do on your mood board is you're going to want to incorporate the actual logo, the Wild Bill, or whatever one you use, either the wine or the perfume. You're going to incorporate that. Then what you're going to do is, what I did was I put together Wild Bill's Gourmet Hot Sauce, spicy, sweet, and addictive. Believe it or not, I mean, you probably, if you think about it, that's just copy. I took that copy right from the course. I just literally cut and pasted it in there so that I had sort of like a little bit of a statement that reminded me a little bit of what I was doing. And it also adds to it a little bit, okay? Then what I did was I went into Cooler. Do I need to give you a demonstration of Cooler, Tamara? Are you good with that?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay. I went in, and as I told you, what I did was I went in and looked for spicy. I looked for spicy. I looked for sweet. I looked for hot sauce. And I came up with a whole bunch of different color palettes that were spicy color palettes, sweet color palettes, hot sauce color palettes. I chose 3 or 4 of them, and I refined them down until I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 colors. I got 8 colors, which is plenty. A lot of colors to work with here. So, and I just basically created a simple little shape, little rectangular shape, duplicated it 8 times, spaced them out nice and neatly, and I filled each one of them with the color. I included black and white as well because black and white I will be using. So I generally put together a color palette that I thought represented what I wanted to work with when I was going to be working with Wild Bill and my packaging. Good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. So then I started thinking about competitors, and I went in and I did a Google search for gourmet hot sauce or hot sauce. And I generally went in and looked for images. And then I found these images here. I got Texas Pete's, I got this Gator, I got Cholula, Tabasco, and I grabbed them and I put them in just to give me an idea of kookiness of color and kookiness of character, things like that, just inspirational things. The next thing I did was I went in and I looked for some bottles because I wanted to create a bottle, and I also wanted to see how graphics would apply to a bottle, because one of the things that we have to do is we have to apply graphics to the bottle. So it's very important for us to come up with a bottle that we can work with. So I grabbed a couple of bottles, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, so I put them in there as well. I then also went in and I found a couple of visuals that I thought gave me some direction. This I always liked. I had this, and I always liked it. I thought it was very cool, and the colors worked really well with my palette. In the end, I didn't use it, but I did extrapolate some elements from it in a simple way. And the other thing is this sheriff badge. I thought, you know, Wild Bill, there should be a sheriff and somehow involved in this. So I thought maybe I could incorporate a sheriff motif into this thing, and I did. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. And then I did 2 other things. I went in and I took a look at some fonts. Now, remember what I was saying about color and what I was saying about fonts. Color and fonts should be appropriate color, should be appropriate fonts for the project. They should represent.
TypeKit is my best friend.
That's right. And you're going to go in and you're going to look for fonts that really work for whatever you're looking for. Don't be afraid to incorporate a bunch of them, okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with you, and I'm going to critique what you submit. And I'm going to try to give you reasons why I think you should use one as opposed to another. Okay? That's part of the process of learning, is that you learn what's the difference between a good font and a bad font. Maybe you think you know what's good. Maybe you think you know what's bad. You know, and again, it all comes down with experience. The more experience you have with it, the better off you are when it comes to choosing things. I think you can see I didn't go too crazy with mine, but if you look at Wild Bills, all of these little Wild Bills here, I think you'll see they all do sort of suggest a westerny kind of look, a Wild Bill kind of look, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't go in for stuff like this. I went in for kind of a Wild Billy kind of look. Very bold and very, you know, blocky, because, you know, back in the Wild West, they probably weren't incredibly sophisticated in how they engineered type and text. So, you know, that's basically what I chose. Then the final element, which I actually ended up not using, but I thought, you know, I should probably consider this as well, was texture. And what I did was, and I went online and I looked for textural pictures, and I selected a bunch of textures that I thought did 2 things. suggested the color that I was working with, the color scheme that I was working with. It suggested that. And then the other thing is it also suggested the sense of texture, something kind of coarse and weather worn, you know, to give that kind of texture look, that kind of feel that you would have from something like Wild Bill's. So that's, if you look at the whole thing, that's essentially my mood board. You got any comments or any questions or a critique or anything you want to say about it?
Okay. The way that you have the whole mood board set up and with all the, like the competitor and all that stuff and the texture. Now, when you went and got the palettes of texture, I know what your mindset was. Like for me, I'm, you know, already thinking of what the texture is because I'm doing the wine.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking more of, you know, floral, maybe grassy kind of, or maybe even, you know, kind of like grapevines.
Absolutely. No, yours is going to be nothing like mine because you're working with an entirely different product. I'm just giving you an idea of, again, if you look at what you're asked to do, okay, you're asked to consider certain aspects, and that's what I did. I actually considered certain aspects, and one of the reasons that I chose to actually show the competitors' bottles, there's actually two reasons for that. Because I wanted to get a sense of how a label would apply to a bottle. That's the first thing. And second thing, I actually needed a profile of a bottle to create a bottle, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to show you where I actually created a bottle and I actually created a package. I've actually finished my project. My project's completely done. And the reason I did that was so that I could be prepared to walk through the process with you and demonstrate some of this stuff. I really want to be able to get you to understand how I did it so that you could try a little bit of this for yourself if you want to do that. Okay? So, yeah, go back to what you were saying.
No, that's what I was getting at when you were like you were incorporating certain aspects.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess that's what I was getting at. Like,
yeah, you'll have colors. You'll have colors, and your colors won't be like mine. Your colors will be your colors, and it will be based on the product itself and your thinking. Two things: your thinking and your product. You're going to think for your product. You're going to look at the product in your mind and envision what it is you want to do and go in and find those colors that will do that for you. You're going to bring your logo in. Your logo is going to look nothing like my logo, but you're going to bring that logo in. You're going to place that logo there. Then after you look at the colors and the logo together, then you're going to consider text, and you're going to, what I did, it's Wild Bill's, right? So I didn't even incorporate color into this. I just basically went in and I chose to call it Wild Bill's because that's what the title is. And I just looked at text to see what kind of text I thought I would use on my label to support my graphics. And I put 5 or 6 different ones in here. And when you see my actual finished piece, you'll see I didn't use all of them, but I used them to suggest things. Then, as I say, I went in and I grabbed some competing products so I could put it there and use that to think about what I was going to do and to show also that I'm thinking about what other people are doing. That's a big part of this, is what is the competition doing? What are you going to do, and how are you going to compete with somebody else producing a similar product? That's what this comes down to. And then again, to come up with a couple of graphics, I chose those 2 graphics right there. So you'll do the same thing, basically. You'll go and grab a couple of bottles of wine maybe and put them up there. Look at a couple of labels for some bottles of wine and maybe put them up there. Come up with some colors that you think will work. Incorporate the logo so that we get a sense of what your starting point really is. And then explore with some type. Go back in and take a look at some type and pick some beautiful type that you think would work really well with a label and a box, because that's in the end what we're going to create, a label and a box. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then the final thing, which I think it's kind of like a wash because I didn't really directly use them, but it helped me to organize my thinking. Was I came up with a bunch of textures that I thought helped to express what it was I was trying to reach for with my overall design. And that, to me, is a pretty good mood board. Your mood board looks as good as this, I'll be happy. Any questions?
No questions. I only hope to get mine to look half as good.
Oh, you will. I mean, it really just is a matter of, you got 1117, and all you're going to do is you're going to bring in what I would do, how I did it. I'll tell you exactly how I did it. I created a folder, opened up a folder, created a folder, and I called it mood board. And what I did was everything I downloaded, everything that I grabbed, every resource I had went in that folder. I created a Adobe Illustrator file, and I named it mood board. This is just to get started, okay? I know in the end when you submit it, you have to change the name, but just to get started, I had this folder called mood board, and I put all these elements in, and then I created the Illustrator file, put that in there. Then what I did was I sized and placed all the elements and arranged them in a neat way, just like I did here. It's just really a matter of organizing things in a neat layout, a neat organization. That's all it is. Is it perfect? It's not perfect. Doesn't have to be. It has to represent what you're supposed to be doing, and that is to bring in some color, bring in some text, bring in some texture, bring in some graphics, and put the whole thing together. That's a mood board. I mean, it could look different than this. I could adjust this a million and one ways, but it does the job. I think it expresses what it is we're trying to do. So that's really all you have to do. And I think once you actually start, I think the hardest part is not laying out the mood boards itself, Tamara. I think the hardest part is going in and getting all the resources together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
All right, so that's that. And here's a couple of things that I did. I created this sheriff, and then I thought about it, and I thought the sheriff is too much. So what I thought I would do is I thought I would take the sheriff, and I thought I would make a graphic out of it, okay, instead of actually using this. Because when I traced it, the edges were jagged. I just didn't like the way it looked. And I liked the idea of it, but I didn't like the overall approach of it. So I decided to create it. So what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm just going to show you how I recreated this thing. All right, so I started off by using a basic shape, all right? And I used the star tool. And if you come out here with the star tool, and if you double click the star tool, what you could do is you could take the points and you could set the points to 3. Right? You know this?
Yes.
Hit OK. And you got a triangle, right?
Right.
And then what you're going to do is just come in here and you're going to get the rotate tool. And you're going to rotate this guy around like that. Let's see if I can pull down the shift key and get it to rotate the way I want. That's not going to do that. It's all right. You know what? Control Z. Let's go back. Let's do it this way. Come in here and get the reflect tool. And double click on the reflect tool, and all you want to do is you want to preview this, okay, and you want to horizontally reflect it, okay, so you see it's pointing the other direction?
Yes, I see it.
And then copy it, and then you have the two of them. And then all you're going to do is move that one up into place like that, something like that at least, and there you have your star. No problem, right? Easy to do that stuff?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you've done stuff like this before, haven't you?
A little bit, but not quite. Now oh, okay, I see what you did. Did you use the ellipse tool for the?
No, what I did was I used the star tool, right? And then I clicked, and I just changed the points from 5, or I guess there was 5 of them. I changed it to 3. And then I made a triangle out of it. Watch what happens when I do that. See, it makes a triangle. Because instead of having 5 points, or 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 3. So I get a triangle just by changing the number of points right here. Watch. Right there, points. I set it instead of 6. If I make it 6, watch what happens. See it okay? I get a star. You got it?
Okay. Yeah. No, I guess what I'm more talking about is you know how you have the embellishments at the end of the triangle?
Well, I'm going to show you how to do that next.
Okay.
Okay? I'll show you how to do that right now. But do you understand this, what I did?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, so I'm
follow.
going to delete these. All right. Now, what I did here was I started off by, after I made those two, let me go edit undo. All right, what I did was after I get these two together, what I did was I aligned them. I went to the align panel and I aligned them horizontally, okay? And actually that didn't work. Let's go Control Z, and I think if I align them this way, yeah, that's good enough. Okay, now that I got those two aligned, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the window menu. Now you also have a tool over here. But I like to work with the Pathfinder panel. So I'm going to open up the Pathfinder panel right here, okay? And are you familiar with the Pathfinder panel?
Yes.
Okay. So I just select both of these guys, and right here, the very first one is Unite. And now they become one piece. And that's what I have over here, okay? One piece. Then what I did was I created this little tiny circle by just coming in here and grabbing the ellipse tool and holding down the shift key, and I dragged myself out a very small little bead, just like that. It was real easy, right?
Yeah, that's the easy stuff right there.
That's the easy stuff. All this is easy, really. I got to zoom in on this, though, to show you what's going on here. So now that I get this zoomed in, let me show you what happens here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab this guy. Now notice when I grab it, you see there's a center point?
Yes.
Even when I sit over it, you see the little X in the middle?
Yes.
That's a center point. I have that set up so that the center point is showing, okay? So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to click on this guy and I'm going to drag it over to here, and I got smart guides. Can you see as I move it, the smart guides are showing? See that little purple line there?
Yes.
That's a smart guide. So as I drag this thing down, and as soon as I hit the center, can you see what happens? The smart guide comes up. See it?
I see the smart guide.
Okay, now, and I let go, that thing is sitting right dead square on the end of that thing. And I'm going to go edit copy so I can copy it. And now watch, I'm going to select both of these things, and I'm going to open up the Pathfinder panel, combine them, and now that is one piece. And I'm going to go edit, paste in place, and now I'm going to click on this guy and I'm going to drag it down until I hit the point on that one. Look at that. See? And then I'll go edit, paste in place, and I'll do the same thing again. I'll come over here and I'll center point it right on that point right there. Edit, paste in place, and drag this one over to that point, and see they bring their points, show each other are overlapping, which is exactly what I want. I got to hit it just right. Come on, you. It's being very stubborn. There we go. Oh, almost had it. There we go. That's good. And then let me bring this down just a bit so I can see it. And let's go edit, paste in place again. And then I'll just drag this one down to the very bottom one. Okay, so now I know, because of the points involved in this, I know that every one of those little beads are sitting right at the point where I want it to be. You got that?
Yes.
All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select the whole thing by marqueeing. You familiar with marqueeing?
Yep.
That's what a marquee is. And I've selected it all. I go to Pathfinder, and I hit that. And now that is one solid piece. Watch. Go to the, let me go edit undo first. Okay, and let me show you something. Go to the view menu and go outline. Look at what you got. See how that's one piece? And you see how those are two pieces?
Yes.
So you get the idea what I'm talking about here? You got two pieces here. They're separate. Watch what happens when I select all this, though. and I go to right here, unite, watch what happens. Look at that. They all become one piece. So you understand what's happening?
Yes, so instead of grouping it,
You're making, this is what's called image or shape modification. That's what this program is all about. You use very simple shapes to interact with one another to create more complex shapes. So we started off with nothing more than a little tiny circle. All it was a little tiny circle like this, right? Okay, and we then went down and we opened up a star, and we created a 3-point star, which is nothing more than a triangle. And by copying and pasting it and flipping it and positioning it, we end up with what looks like a sheriff star. And then we just added these little points to each one of those points, and we now have a real sheriff star. That's really what we're doing. It's almost that simple in most cases. And it's all just a matter of knowing what it is you want to accomplish. Okay? Any questions?
no questions.
All right, here's something else you might find very cool. Watch this. This is Wild Bill's. Let me grab one of these things. This is something that's really sharp. I didn't use this, but I thought I'd show it to you because it's actually pretty cool. Let me just grab this texture. Let's go copy, edit, copy. Watch this. This is cool stuff as well. I didn't use it, but I'll make sure I'm on that board. Let's go edit, paste in place. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to bring this up, and this is a much bigger piece, so I'm actually going to drag this thing out to make it bigger because it's a bigger piece. Okay? And let's go object, arrange, send to back. Actually, it won't do it. Edit, cut. Let's do that. Edit, cut, and let's click that and go edit, paste, and back. Boom, there we go. So we have Wild Bill sitting in front of that wall, right?
Right.
Now watch what we can do with this. If we select both of them, we can go to the object menu, and we can go down to where it says clipping mask. You ever done a clipping mask before?
Yeah, I've done clipping mask before.
And you go make. And you see what you end up with?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's real neat.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if you, I probably would use, it would probably be better to use one of the other textures. This isn't the best texture. But then you can even go a little bit further with this thing. You could come in here and go to the effect menu, and you could come in here and you could go stylize, and you could add a drop shadow to it. And then if you preview, you can add a drop shadow to this whole thing, and you could come around and, you know, make your drop shadow look. Let's make this thing 0.01 as opposed to 0.1. There we go. Actually, it's going to have to be a little bit bigger than that. I think what we want to do is we want to go 0.04. Let's try that. And let's try that at 0.0. Ooh, geez, 0.4, not 4. You're not going to let me do that? There we go. We got it. That's what we want, 0.4. And let's try that. There. So you see how you got a nice little one, and if you want, you can make it a little bit bigger. Let's go to 9. Let's make it just a little bit bigger. Go to 9. And now you've got 9, a nice little drop shadow on this. And if you want to change the color, you can come in here and you can change the color. Let's make it red just for the heck of it. Hit OK. And now you got this nice little drop shadow on there. Hit OK. So you can do all this cool stuff with this. So these are some of the things we'll cover as we go through here. Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything at all?
No questions. I'm gonna probably be rewatching this a lot.
That's fine. And if you have any questions, come and see me in Blackboard, or you can ask me specifically to do a breakout video, and I'll do that. This is what I've been waiting to show you, though. Let's go to hot sauce. This is what I've been waiting to show you. This is the project that we're going to do. And this is the project that I did. So let me, I got like 7 minutes left, and then we're done. So I'll go over this in greater detail on Wednesday. But let me explain what I did, and I'll probably demonstrate it on Wednesday. I won't do it now, but I'll talk about it now, and we'll actually do the demonstration on Wednesday. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
All right. So here's what we have. You're going to create this box, and the box is going to be a three-dimensional box, and it's going to have the graphics on it. You're going to have to do at least 2 sides of the graphics. You might even have to do 4, but I did 2. I did the front and I did the side. What I decided what's going to happen is the front and the back would look like this. That's what my actual label looks like. All right. I don't know whether I have the label in here. I guess I don't. No, I didn't open that one. I'll show you that. I'll show you that with our next lesson on Wednesday. But what I did basically was I went in, I did a Google search since I was doing hot sauce. I went in and I tried to find myself a bottle that I liked. I wanted something a little bit unusual. I didn't want the regular old standard bottle because I just liked the challenge of it. So I went in and I tried to find something a little fancier, and I found this bottle. So what I actually did was I utilized this bottle to create a 3D rendering of a bottle of hot sauce with a cap on it and interior filled with hot sauce. And then I wrapped a label around it. And if you take a look over here, you can see the elements that I had to create and color and rotate and manipulate to make this. This is the cone that I used to put the label on. This is my basic shape that I used to create the actual bottle. And up here, there's a shape that goes for my cap. And you see this shape in here? That's actually the shape that I used to make. So there's 4 shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now watch this. I'm going to go to the window menu and I'm going to open up appearance. Okay. Now I'm going to bring my appearance over here and I'm going to select that bottle. Okay. And I don't want that. Hold on. Let me do this. Object, lock, selection. There we go. I'll select that bottle. Okay. Now there's my appearance panel. I'm going to go over this in greater detail on Wednesday because we only got 5 minutes and I really don't have the time to get into this in greater detail. But I will on Wednesday go over this a little bit more completely because this is something that you're going to be doing. And I think it's important. If you're going to do this stuff, you should know about this up front because I don't want to throw this at you the last week and have you scrambling to do it. I want to tell you early on how to do this. So if you're really interested in doing this yourself, you now have 4 weeks to work on it instead of 1. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did this tomorrow night or Wednesday night. But I do want to show you this. Once you create the effect, which you create right here, 3D Revolve, that's what you do. You go into Effect 3D Revolve. And what happens is after you do this, the appearance panel, it records the action. So in other words, once you put the effect on it, you don't go back up to Effect 3D Revolve again. If you want to modify this, you select it and you come into the appearance panel and you modify it here. Now watch what I'm going to do. You see the little eyeball just like you have in a Photoshop layer and in other layers you hide things?
Right.
In this case, I'm going to hide the 3D Revolve effect and watch what happens to my shape. Now I'm going to deselect that and look what I got. If you look at this carefully, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what's going on here. I have a cap. I have a cap. There's my cap. And I'll try to move this so you can see both of them. I have a cap. And Revolve, that's what that cap looks like. But that's the shape that's used to create that cap. And I'll show you how I made that on Wednesday. There's your bottle. See that bluish line? That blue kind of blue-gray line? That's the shape right there that's used to revolve that. You see that red shape right there? That's the shape that's used to create the contents, the stuff inside, which is the actual hot sauce. And then the label is applied. I got all these showing. Let me see if I can. There we go. The label is applied on this shape right here. There is an actual shape here, which is a little hard to see. See it? See that shape?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. And that shape is behind the bottle shape. It's that shape right there. Okay? And that shape is kind of like a grayish white color, and I applied that graphic to it. And then what I had to do is I had to expand it, and I had to remove some of its elements. I'm explaining this to you. I'll show you how to do it. It doesn't help too much for me to explain it because you got to see it for it to make full sense. But I am going to show you how to do it. And go to View menu, Fit Artboard and Window. We're almost over. It's 8:58. We're almost out of time. And all I'm going to do is select this thing, and I'm going to put back the 3D Revolve on it. And there's the 3D Revolve. It comes back. Now, again, I will come back and I will show you how I did this in a little bit more detail on Wednesday. Now, what I did for this was I created my extruded panel by taking one of the panels and making an extruded box out of it, which I'll show you how to do. And instead of actually applying my graphics, what I did was I created an individual logo, or I should say a box character, a box shape or a box panel that has the artwork on it, and I distorted it onto this box, which I'll show you how to do. I'll show you that Wednesday. Then I took this guy right here and I expanded it, which means I selected it. I went to the object menu and I expanded it, and I turned it into, if you look at this one, okay, this one has a slightly, or this one here, I should say. There, you see that one? You
yes, I see it.
Yeah, see what it looks like?
Yep.
Okay, look at this one. You see how this one looks? You see that looks different?
Yes.
Okay, that's because that guy's been expanded. That guy has not. And in order for me to distort this guy, I needed it to be expanded. So I had to expand it to put it on the side. But what I did was I distorted it so it went on the side of the box. So my box has literally got on the front a label that has some of the stuff that relates to the product. And then on the side, it has a visual representation of the product inside. That's how I designed my box. Okay? So you could do something like that if you want. And at any rate, I'm going to show you how that gets done. It's 9 o'clock. We're done. You have any final questions? Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. I'm glad you came. I hope you come on Wednesday, and we'll come back and revisit this on Wednesday.
Don't forget to get the links fixed.
I will try to take that into consideration right now.
Thank you. And
you have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Yep.